Hi, I'm Patu from freefincal and welcome to the first module of the goal-based portfolio management lecture series. And this is going to be an introductory lecture when we're going to talk about what this course is all about and what we're going to try and do here. So have a look at this cartoon, played by ear. This will become important. Played by ear simply means improvise as one goes along. But we need to know when to improvise and how much to improvise, and that's what this whole lecture is all about. So in 2007, Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. This video is available on YouTube. You can have a look at it. And he had quoted another software pioneer, Alan Kay. People who are really serious about software should make their own hardware. This is true of DIY investors, because true DIY investors, because personal finance is more personal than finance, as is often said, and DIY investors should learn to chart their own course. This is also true of advisors, because each advisor style will be different, each client will be different, and therefore, in order to create custom plans, they'll have to create their own software or calculation spreadsheets, whatever it is you want to call it, instead of ready-made package templates. So I'm gonna remove this screen grab of my face so that we can look at the slides, and then I'll get back to the screen grab whenever is necessary. So what is goal-based risk management or goal-based portfolio management? It is a technique to minimize doubt, uncertainty, and fear, or FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, associated with investments and investment decisions. See, the biggest problem when we start investing in the stock market is the biggest problem is that uh, we don't know what return we're going to get. We can expect 10% from Sensex, 15% from Sensex, whatever, but we don't know what return to get. And the stock market can crash 1 year after we invest, 5 years after we invest, and the returns can all become zero. The gains can all become zero. After 10 years, the return can just be 2%. There's a gain, but it's only 2%. So it's completely uncertain, and the kind of nonsense that's out there, even professionally, that is, if you look at robo advisory templates that's available online associated with mutual fund portals or any other place, even advisors, they will say, they all keep saying equity will work in the long term. You just need to keep investing a lot of equity in your portfolio for long-term goals, and just before the goal deadline is nearing, you can pull out the equity. What we are going to see in this lecture series is all this is complete nonsense. We are going to there is a big chance that most of these uh, popular ideas will fail, and we're going to talk about a method which will completely blow your minds. It blew my mind. What actually works, whatever the market conditions, whatever the kind of tomorrow, there can be a crash, there can be a 5 year sideways market, there can be a big jump up. Whatever happens, the ultimate goal of investing is not getting good returns, it is getting enough money for our particular specific goals. And that is what we're going to develop a technique together. We're going to develop a mechanism, a framework together to make sure we minimize fear, doubt, and uncertainty associated with equity investing or any kind of market linked investing. Fixed income is also in many ways market linked. So that is the essential goal. I had said please feel free to stop if something is wrong. That's part of the Bangalore and Chennai slides. But you'll be hopefully you'll be watching this within the Facebook group, and you can provide feedback, or if you have any doubts you can ask, and I'll do my best to answer them. So um, even for so I expected three reactions to the talk when I gave the Bangalore and Chennai talk. I said I expected most people in the audience to say this much complication is not necessary in portfolio management. This part two is needlessly crunching numbers. They may say the whole thing is too complicated for them. I have to consult a only financial advisor. Or I hope some people will say it's helpful to DIY investors, and it is helpful for me to advise my clients. This reaction, the first reaction I did get from few members in the Bangalore and Chennai talks. I'm not sure about the second reaction, but I'm hoping I will. This course will be helpful to DIY investors, and you are here because you want to DIY and not be worried about math. And I hope you're here because you want to learn how to advise your clients better. So I I can think of 8 steps to managing or building a portfolio, and I would like to divide this into portfolio management 101, the basic 4 steps, and then the second 4 steps. The first 4 steps we usually talk about it, and I have spent most of the last 7 years in freefincal talking about how to set your goals, how to define an investment philosophy, how to what the importance of asset allocation, understanding how much I'm going to invest for in equity for different kinds of goals, and finally, only after that we talk about portfolio construction. This I would like to define as the first 4 steps of portfolio management. The next 4 steps would be to review the portfolio, rebalance it periodically, vary the asset allocation, and we should understand when to quit. That is, if I have a good year or if I'm having too many bad years, I should be able to quit equity and get out of it. So that's the playing it by ear part. So I'm going to define 8 steps to a healthy portfolio. The first 4 steps, 101, the basics, and the next 4 steps. And this whole lecture series is going to be about how the second stage ideas of reviewing the portfolio, rebalancing it, varying the asset allocation, how those steps and those decisions will affect the initial starting decisions, how much, primarily how much you're going to invest for a particular goal, and how you need to plan the varying asset allocation, and how you are going to manage money after equity, or sorry, after retirement, excuse me. How you are going to manage money after retirement will decide how much you are going to invest for retirement and how you are going to invest for retirement today. And that is the whole essence of this lecture series. I'm going to talk about um, tomorrow's portfolio management decisions should be taken, should be implemented, incorporated today in your portfolio. That's what we're going to talk about. I'll make this clear as we go along. So, excuse me. Oopsie. What is the? I hope I'm not. Yeah. So, what is the key problem in portfolio management? Excuse me, I just need to keep doing this sometimes because the slides so what is the key problem in portfolio management? You can use any standard simple calculator available online, although they have many wrong inputs which we will talk about. You can use any standard simple calculator available online, and you know where you are today. That is, you know that, okay, I have this much money for this particular goal. I need to invest this much amount of money every month, and maybe I will decide to invest some amount in equity, some amount in fixed income, whatever. I have to make these kind of decisions to start with, based on a simple calculator. So I know where I am, and like I said, you also know what is the target corpus you need. For example, my favorite number, 7 crores for retirement, or 2 crores for my child's, for both my children, for their future education, marriage, etc., and so on. So you all, I mean, some of you must have used my calculators, and some of you may have lost sleep, etc., etc. So you know all that. You know all. The problem is connecting these two dots. How do I go from here where I am to here? How do I go from A to B? From A to B, there are like a million possibilities. Each of them could be right, each of them could be wrong. Some of them may have worked very well in the past, some of them could have failed disastrously in the past. We don't know, we have to check. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to check. Of course, we can't check all the zillion possibilities that from connecting A to B. That is how to start investing from today and how to achieve my target corpus. That's A to B journey. We can't discuss all the possibilities, but we will talk about the key possibilities, and we will do the back test. We will find out how well each of these ideas have worked in the past, and we will try and modify these so-called theoretical strategies to our own portfolio management. That's the essential goal of this course. So if you look at any simple goal-based calculator, this is my own calculator. I have over the past few years I have learned and graduated, because as I start thinking about each of these inputs and outputs, I understand I have to modify them, make them better, and so on. So for example, if you take this goal calculator, there are so many inputs and so many assumptions. For example, this says 16 years to a goal. This says equity investing will stop 3 years before the goal. You can change this, but you can. This says so. I for 13 years I will hold some amount of equity, and the last 3 years there will be no equity. Whether this is a good strategy or not, we will talk about in detail. And then you know the what is the present cost of the goal, the inflation I put it as 10%, the net ROI, that is the net return on investment from the entire portfolio after tax. I've assumed it to be 9%, etc., and so on. And then I have some amount of money left with me. If I have, what is the return on that, and so on. So these kind of calculators make a lot of assumptions about inflation, about the return that you will get, and so on. But the problem is these are extremely approximate, because you just have to put some number. Many people will make the mistake of saying I am expecting 15% from equity and I will put 15% here. That's wrong. Even if you expect 15% from equity, you will not have 100% equity in your portfolio. You will only have 60 to 70%. Then the returns will come down. And also, you will not hold 60 to 70% throughout the investment tenure, and you should not, as we will see. Therefore, the return over the entire course of the investment period, the return will come down, because the return in equity or any market linked portfolio, you will know only in hindsight. Only at the end of the journey, you will know your return. But whereas you are assuming it in a simplistic manner in Excel. So there are several approximations like this in a standard goal-based calculator, which will not work out, or which are not practical in real life. And so we have to modify this. How are we going to do it? That's what we're going to learn in this whole course. So before we proceed, we have to understand um, the key differences between a goal-based portfolio management service and a professional portfolio. Goal-based portfolio management, not service. I just say PMS for the sake of it, because it rhymes. And a professional portfolio management service. Most often, we tend to make wrong decisions based on what these professional PMS guys, whether they are fund managers or actual PMS, individual PMS managers, what they say in the media, we tend to get disturbed or influenced by them. See, in a goal-based portfolio management, there's a clear target corpus. Of course, this can vary each year depending on inflation and change in personal circumstances, but there's a clear target corpus. At least the estimate. In a professional PMS, there's no such thing as a target corpus. In a goal-based PMS, the risk and the reward is linked to the corpus. It doesn't matter whether you get 15% return or 25% return or 35% return. If at the end of the journey you don't have enough money for your goal, you're failed. The returns don't matter, but the risk and the reward therefore are linked to the corpus. How close you are to the target corpus. The risk and the reward in the case of professional PMS is linked to a benchmark which they themselves choose. The asset allocation in the case of goal-based PMS is linked to a particular deadline. I can't hold equity until the last day I need money. And in this case, the asset allocation is based on a mandate, and that mandate can say the asset allocation can vary or it's fixed. Goal-based PMS rebalancing should be done typically once a year, and in a professional PMS, they can afford to rebalance even once a month or twice a month, because at least in the case of mutual funds, there's no tax outgo to the individual investor. Emotions play a big role because it's an individual managing for their goal, and emotions should not ideally be involved when a professional fund manager does it. Goal-based PMS is true skin in the game, because you are investing for your goal, your need. The skin in the game is not relevant for a professional PMS. Why? If the fund is doing very well, who cares whether the fund manager has invested money in it or not? If the fund is not doing well, who cares whether the fund manager has invested money or not in the own fund? So skin in the game in a professional PMS is irrelevant. Obviously, the highest, purest form of skin in the game is a goal-based PMS. So this difference and distinction we should understand for us to be able to manage a portfolio better. So we will stop with this. What is the key problem in portfolio management. Now, the problem is it is not about selecting the right mutual fund, selecting the best stock or whatever, a multi-bagger stock or whatever. Many people have said, is this course about handling mutual funds? No, this course is not about handling mutual funds or stocks. Product selection, you will finally, and you will realize after a few years, it's all inky pinky punky. It is just a leap of faith. You can't do anything about it. Product review, also you will learn. You will again realize it's all random, it's all arbitrary. The fund you which you hold, which was underperforming, when you sell it, it will start performing again, and so on. So it's all arbitrary. You will understand some by hook or crook how to take care of product selection and product review. Time and experience will teach you that. However, goal-based portfolio management is the only constant problem in personal finance. In personal finance, once you buy term insurance, you're not going to worry about what are the new products of term insurance that come every year, because that purchase is done. Once you bought your health insurance, you're not going to look into it every day, unless you want to port it or something. You are not going to worry about it, worry about developments in health insurance industry every day. Same thing with tax saving. Once your tax saving is set, you're not going to change it much every year. Only the risk management or portfolio management is a constant problem. You need to keep on checking it. You need to keep monitoring it. Once a year is enough, or maybe twice a year, but that much you should do. You can't say I won't do it. The big problem is we have to get rid of the LIC policy mindset when we are managing a portfolio. LIC policy mindset means, please tell me a mutual fund to invest for 15 years. That kind of a mindset where it's like SIP becomes like a paying premium kind of mindset, or paying a recurring deposit kind of mindset. That has to stop, and we need to manage the risk and handle huge up returns or also huge down returns. And how do you know you are doing the right thing? How do you know you are managing the portfolio in the right way? How do you know you are on the right track? How do you know when to course correct and how to course correct? These are the questions which are the basic biggest problems for a DIY investor. Many DIY investors themselves do not realize this. This is the tragedy. We are going to appreciate this problem, and we are also going to try and answer as many of these problems and create a framework so we get the confidence that we are on the right track and we know how to course correct. So that's the objective and motive of this course. We will get into the graphs and the analysis straight away from the second module. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you again in the second part. Thank you. Bye-bye.